live,
Hit
and
the
now
button.
now we're just live.
Yep,
So
that's what
that's
happens
fine.
when you hit the red
That's the
button.
fun thing about live is you can just kind of go with it.
Just don't touch the red button, Derek.
Don't touch the red
What do you
button.
do?
Is it the red pill or the blue pill? Which one are you supposed to take? I don't know. Nobody knows. Hey guys,
Don't take
welcome.
pills.
Welcome to our weekly live here at 1 p.m. Pacific time. This is Brandon and Vanessa Leon. We are excited to share with you the pros and cons of living in Sacramento, California. I often am in conversations with people that say, hey, we're moving to the area. And we start talking about areas. And sometimes people settle in Sacramento. Sometimes it's Placer County. Sometimes it's El Dorado County. But most people start their search looking in Sacramento. So we are in the process of our ultimate guide to moving and living in Sacramento.
Yes.
We already have
So
our
close.
Rockland guide and Roseville guide completed, but we decided to kind of get a Sacramento guide going. It's a good place for people to start. So this is one piece of our guide. This is the if you know of anyone moving to the area, we'd be happy to share this pros and cons list with them, and then we can get them the full guide when it's complete. But let's go ahead and start off with number one pro of living in Sacramento.
Affordability. So with Sacramento, it really does offer a lower cost of living compared to the surrounding areas. It's definitely much cheaper than San Francisco or LA, some of the bigger cities in California. Even just looking in the surrounding areas, they do have lower property taxes. And this affordability really extends from the housing to the healthcare to transportation, even groceries. So it is a little bit more affordable than surrounding areas.
Yeah. And when we're looking at like some people are looking at Placer and El Dorado County, Sacramento is cheaper than those for sure. So something to think about. All right. Second pro of living in Sacramento is just the proximity to nature and day trips. So when I say that, you have San Francisco, right? Which is, about an hour and a half away. You have Lake Tahoe. You have tons of trails and mountains up when you go towards Auburn, Colfax, all of that. There's lots and lots to do nature-wise. So biking, hiking, running, swimming. We got Folsom Lake close by. There is tons to do. Yosemite isn't even that far when you look at the grand scheme of things. So we're kind of centrally located with lots to do. That's one of the main things that when I talk to people, they love the location, central to everything.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we've had several conversations with people that live in other states, even just this past week. And one of the things that I love telling them is where we currently live, we're literally a 2-hour drive away from snow or the beach. And so it's a really nice location.
So those of you just joining us, she's saying this week, you realize how tan we are. We did go on a vacation. We don't do that very often, but we got a nice tan. Some better than others. All right. So number 3.
So Sacramento offers a really rich history and culture. Sacramento is known as one of those places for even just the gold rush and things like that. There's lots of different museums. There's Sutter's Fort that you can visit, which is about the pioneers traveling over the Sierra Nevadas and finally landing in Sacramento. So they have the fort there. They have a train museum.
Yeah, Sacramento, the Railroad Museum, the Crocker Art Museum.
Yes.
There's all kinds of good stuff. Downtown is really a cool place to check out. There's lots of stuff, a little something for everyone.
Yep.
Number 4 pro, mild climate. So when you say mild climate, and it's funny, we're going to refer to this a lot because we just went on a cruise to the Caribbean, right? So as we're talking to people and they're like, oh, you're from California. And it's cool because we didn't get a lot of the like surfer hang 10 like we used to get.
I'm telling you, from California. Oh wait, I just talked normal and then I.
It actually, the conversation that came up is everyone's like, isn't everyone moving out of California? And it's like, that's what the headlines say. That's not actually true. And if you're curious, check out a live we did a couple weeks ago when we talked about the exodus of California and how many people were actually leaving. Not as big as you would think. So when we're looking at climate, we basically in the winter time don't really go below 39. So mild winters, we don't have snow in Sacramento.
No, we don't.
And then we do have some heat though. So in the summertime, like right now we're in July, we'll have in the 90s, maybe 110 is about the highest we'll get. But it's dry heat. And even today, it's not even 80 degrees. So
here's the other factor. When you go down the hill, so we're up the hill, probably about 25 minutes or so. When you go down the hill, you get the beautiful thing we call the Delta breeze, folks. The Delta breeze comes in from the ocean through the valley, and they get to cool off in the evenings where we don't cool off so much. It might be 100 and something degrees during the day, and guess what? It's going to be 80 degrees at night. But if you're in Sacramento, it's going to at least cool down to the 60s, which is beautiful. That's the open your windows and let your house cool off. So that's a really nice perk about being down in the valley.
Yeah, absolutely.
So number 5 would be, if you're living in Sacramento, a pro about it is that it's fairly walkable. So especially midtown, downtown, when you're out there, you can walk wherever you want and get all your steps in. You can walk to restaurants or bars or museums or parks even. There's so many different events. But there is that then will lead to number 6.
Yeah. Number 6, pro of living in Sacramento, entertainment and nightlife.
Which you can walk to.
Yeah. And that's really true. I mean, from what they call, we probably can't say this, but I'm going to say what they call dive bars, or smaller bars.
Okay.
Yeah. Where you just dive, you take a dive
water?
in there. There's bars, there's restaurants, there's, downtown commons, which the locals call
Doco.
Surrounding the King Stadium, there's rooftop bars. There's just like clubs. When it comes to nightlife, Sacramento is great. And there's a variety too. So everything you could think of as far as music, they have music festivals. They close down the streets and do pub crawls and all this stuff. So there's a lot.
They even have a theater there.
Yeah. There's a lot when it comes to
Street Theater,
entertainment.
musicals, they're great. They do really good productions.
Yeah, and that leads us into number 7.
Nobody likes musicals, by the way.
How dare you? No, you don't like musicals.
Yeah, true.
I love them.
I
will do all the theatrics anytime, anyway. All right, number 7, speaking of theatrics, the food scene is incredible in Sacramento. They have some of the best restaurants, no kidding. Like, they really do have some incredible restaurants. They're known for that farm to fork thing.
Farm to fork capital.
Because we are surrounded by lots of land.
Yeah, and everything you could think of.
Farms.
Everything you could think of, guys, like from sushi to, there's a great Korean spot out there. There's fine dining. You have great Mexican restaurants. And stay tuned, because we do have the top 10 restaurants in Sacramento in this guide. Our top 10 of what we think are really, really good. So, but the food scene here is epic. It's
worth traveling to, right? So we live in the surrounding areas, but we will drive 25 to 35 minutes to go to a really good restaurant in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Worth it.
Yep. So number 8 pro of living in Sacramento, diversity. So Sacramento has been a long time known as the most racially diverse city in the United States.
Tapestry of
people. There are all kinds of people, all the people. So some people love that, some people don't, but there's a lot of character here. There's a lot of different nationalities and people to get to know.
Which brings incredible art.
It does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So number 9 would be professional sports. As you may or may not know, we are the hosts of the Sacramento Kings basketball team.
Light the beam.
Yes.
We do something here where when the Kings win a game, they light the beam. It's like a big laser beam.
It was so cool because when we were gone on our trip, we would say we're from Sacramento, and they're like, "Oh, light the beam." We're like, "Yeah!" So it was so cool because we were in the playoffs. Now people actually know about Sacramento. Thank you, Kings. And so it was kind of cool sharing that experience with other people that don't live in California or even Sacramento. About the light the beam concept.
And so when you're looking at professional teams, you also have the soccer team, Sac Republic. You have the baseball team, the River Cat Stadium. That's a fun thing to go to with your kids. You can chill on the lawn. It's a great little place to go visit. So professional sports in Sacramento is another pro. To round out the list, we have number 10 pro of living in Sacramento, which is golf. So a lot of golfers in the area are really spoiled because we have over 30 courses, I'd say, in the Sacramento area alone, in all different types of course, private, public, some up in the mountains. There is golf all day long here. So that's another pro. Let's head to the cons, though. Let's talk about some cons of living in Sacramento. Go ahead and start us
Well,
off.
because there's a lot of people that live in this area, the air quality can not be the best, whether that's due to pollution or to the great fires of California. Because it is the valley, things tend to go down into the valley. However, we did say a pro is a delta breeze. So sometimes that breeze can really push it out and push it towards us.
And the cons should have been fires. Fires should have been a con.
That should have been a con.
Because that happens sometimes in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you're out of your state and you're talking to other people, they go earthquakes, but the fires. And we're like, yeah, the fires do suck.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a con, especially if you're moving from an area that either is out of state or somewhere that really just doesn't deal with fires. The smoke, I mean, whether you may not be affected by the fire because usually urban places like this don't get affected, but the rural places do, but we still get affected by the smoke. So air quality, sometimes we're still being masked up because it literally is that bad.
I don't ever want to wear a mask again. All right. Con number 2, lower job diversity. So there's still a lot of jobs in the Sacramento region, but when we say lower job diversity compared to San Francisco or Los Angeles, it's just not the same. But we have all the same thing as far as healthcare and sales and restaurants and things like that. It's just not as wide range as some of the more populated areas.
Yep. And number 3 con is homelessness. As many urban areas face this. We also face homelessness in the Sacramento area. It is visible in a lot of places. So it is something to be aware of when you're moving into the area.
And Sacramento more than other places. And that's, as we're talking, is what we're trying to do is just kind of educate you or someone you know in the area. So if you know someone that's looking on moving to the area, this is a great place for them to start. And typically what happens when you introduce them to us is we're having a conversation with them and we're saying, okay, well, great. Here's some areas in Sacramento, but there are also some other areas to consider. And that's why we always talk about Placer County and El Dorado County and other cities. So this is Sacramento as a whole. And you're going to see homelessness more in the city of Sacramento than in those other surrounding areas. So just something to think about. Number 4, con of living in Sacramento, traffic. So we're not going to have traffic like San Francisco and Los Angeles, but we basically have, 3 major freeways in the area that we're dealing with. And in Sacramento, you really only have 2. You have Highway 80 and Highway 50, I guess 3, because you have 99 and 5, which kind of run parallel to each other. So 4, just kidding, 4 major freeways. I've lived here my whole life. You think I would know that. We have 4 major freeways, but you're going to have traffic at the normal times in the day, earlier in the morning, and then also in the afternoon after work. You will have traffic to and from San Francisco on the daily because there still are people that commute daily. Not as bad since COVID because a lot of people can work from home. So the traffic isn't terrible like some other highly populated areas.
But you know what is terrible? Trains.
We lived by a train, our first house.
We did. So it depends. It is a con. There are several train tracks around Sacramento, hence the train museum. We are a hub for trains.
Hey, raise your hand, give me a thumbs up or comment if you're a deep sleeper, because we live by a train and I never heard it. I sleep through anything.
Everything.
She would wake up
I'm
all
jealous,
the time.
But
I'd
I'm
be
also
so upset.
irate.
So yeah. So hey, real quick, let us know if you're here. Give us a thumbs up. Say hi. If you have a question about the Sacramento area, we'd love to hear from you, and we'll try to get it answered. So trains.
And yes, we lived by a train stop or whatever. So they would go off with their horns at 2 a.m. So some people eventually find it as white noise, and that's fine. But if
we're not
you
talking
don't,
like a trumpet horn, we're talking about like that horn
over and over and over and over and over and over and
never
over.
stopped.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's something to be aware of because it would wake me up.
Yeah.
He would sleep right through and be like, "What is white noise?" Slept great. And I just want to backhand him.
I know. Yeah. She always wants to backhand me.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's your face.
So That's neither here nor there. So number 6 con, lower rated schools. So when I say lower rated schools, this is not trying to say don't live in Sacramento because the schools are bad. This is saying lower rated schools compared to the surrounding areas. So compared to Placer County and El Dorado County, some of the schools can be rated very low, like 3s, 4s, 5s. Some can be 6s and 7s. A lot of people that live in Sacramento are actually doing private schools. So that's just something to be mindful of. There are options. So if you have more questions about that, just reach out to me directly. And while we're at it, if you would like to send this to a friend that may be thinking about moving to the area, or you just like this for yourself, just send me a direct message or a text message, and I can get this pros and cons list over to you. Or even if you want the ultimate guide, you can let me know. And when that's done, I'll send it over to you. So number 7 con.
Safety. So we're going to list this only because their overall crime rate is higher than the national average. So some of the neighborhoods are even higher than that. So it is important when you're looking at neighborhoods or different areas to move into, it is important to look at the area and the crime rates and things like that so that you're calling your home a safe place.
And so that's can be neighborhood specific. So let me be clear also on the safety. Like you have areas, pockets of Sacramento that aren't as safe. And then you have things like the Fab 40s, multi-million-dollar homes. You have East Sacramento. You have Land Park. You have all these really nice areas in Sacramento as well. But you can go a few blocks away and it's a completely different neighborhood. There are also some that they're gentrifying, like Oak Park, that used to be no one wanted to move there and it was a high crime rate and it wasn't very safe. Now is becoming a lot more safe. So it depends on what your needs are, but the crime rate is higher than the national average. So it's something worth mentioning. So rounding out our list of cons to finish and wrap up is flood insurance. So
if it's not the earthquakes and fires,
I know, right? Oh, it's so bad. Don't move here.
It's going to be the floods.
But Central Valley, you have proximity to rivers, and
which is amazing because you have Sacramento River.
Yeah, it is amazing. And realistically, we don't really have a lot of issues with flood insurance. Natomas area, which is a part of Sacramento, not too far away from the airport, is kind of known as needing flood insurance. So here's kind of a fun fact. They are rezoning. And so we may not have flood insurance anymore in the Sacramento area as early as 2025. So they're working on that. But if you are looking in the Natomas area currently, there would be flood insurance, and it can be very costly. Yeah. So check that out before moving. But hey, look, this is kind of what I call the fact-finding mission. This is something to get you guys started. To learn more about this area. There are other amazing cities outside of Sacramento as well that we're going to be bringing information to you just to help people learn more about the area. So if you know of anyone moving to the area, just feel free to connect them with us. Just pick up your cell phone, look up my number, and just give me a call directly. We could talk about how you can introduce them to us, or you can send them this guide. Among anything else that we put out. We try to put out quality stuff for you guys to teach you about this amazing area we live in. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And
yes, we would.
Other than that, we'll see you next week.
Signing out.
And we'll see you next week at 1 p.m. Coming to you live. Yeah.
At 1 p.m.
At 1 p.m.
On YouTube.
On
multiple
on all the platforms, all the streams.